welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am doing a monthly wrap-up for June. It is currently July 3rd, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so I am doing my June wrap-up and I am going to tell you guys the books that I want to read in July, so my July TBR. And yeah, that's what I'm doing today. I read 6 books this month. It's a good amount of books. Last month, I read more books though. I just wasn't really in the mood to read that much this month because I get distracted when I find a new obsession. And that new obsession this month is Love Island. So I've been so invested in Love Island that I've been wanting to watch all of those episodes instead of read, which is fine because I still read 6 books, so it's not even that bad. So let's get started. Sorry, I got distracted with my phone. Okay, to start off this month, I read Twisted Games. It honestly feels like I read this book such a long time ago. This book is the second book in the Twisted series. Twisted Love I liked, but I did like this one more, and I gave this one 4.25 stars. I would give it 4 stars because the only reason I gave this book 4.25 is because I liked it more than Twisted Love, and I gave Twisted Love 4 stars. That's the rating I gave this book. Basically, this book is about Bridget and Reese. Bridget is like this princess in her friend group, which is actually kind of random. Like when I read Twisted Love, it was like this random princess that like needs a bodyguard. But basically, she wants to live this normal life, and I'm pretty sure they're in New York, if I'm not mistaken. If not, then I don't know where they are. She wants to live this normal life, normal school life with her normal friends, and then she has to get taken back to this place because her brother doesn't want to be like the king or whatever it is. So then she has to be the next one in line, which is not the life she wanted, but she's doing it for her brother. And all she's ever wanted is to find like true love, and that's what her brother found. And he wanted to marry someone that wasn't in like, you know, kingdom, because you know when you're like a prince, you have to marry like another princess, and he didn't want to do that, and he married someone else. So I don't know what the word is, but he wasn't gonna be king or whatever it is. So she had to be that, and she has this new bodyguard, which is Reese. And at first they don't like each other, but then they start to grow a bond, and you see that throughout the book. It's like even like a year goes by and they're like much better. They're still like friends, nothing further until they eventually start something. I thought they were cute at times, but at times it was just like, yeah, I just opened up to like a crazy scene, you know? But he says something in this scene. I'm not gonna read it. And I literally, my annotation is "oh" with an exclamation point. Because it was like, oh, okay. Because I know there was a part in here where I was like, no, that wasn't said. Like, there's no way that happened. Because in Twisted Love, Alex says something about the lion's den. And I was like, no. There's no way he just said that. And he also sings in that book. So I was like, what is even going on? This book is cute at times, but at other times it's also very cringy and Wattpad-ish, which isn't a bad thing, but it wasn't a vibe. I feel like when I read it, it was a vibe, but now looking back on it after reading the next books I'm gonna talk about, just doesn't compare. So yeah, but it wasn't a bad book. I did enjoy it when I read it. So yeah, that's this book. Next book I read was Magnolia Parks, The Long Way Home. This is the 3rd book in the Magnolia Parks series. This is the 2nd Magnolia Parks book. I think we all know what I gave this book. Obviously, I gave it 5 stars. I'm literally obsessed with this book, the series, everything about these characters. This book follows Magnolia and BJ again, and this book is them basically trying to fix what happened in the last Magnolia Parks book, because that book ended off like really crazy, and then you see parts of them in Daisy Hates, which is the 2nd book, but this book you obviously get it more in detail. She just wrote this, oh my god, she wrote this book so well, because you see you're mad at BJ because it's like, you know, why would you do that, but you also see him trying to gain her trust back, and that's what mostly this book is like showing. And you understand her, you understand him, and it's like you love both of them, but it's also like you hate how annoying they are, but you love them. That's how I was this whole book. Sometimes I feel like throwing this book across the room. Sometimes I feel like kissing this book. That's why I love this book so much, and that's why I gave it 5 stars, because this book literally makes me feel things, and I love when a book makes me feel things, because that's like automatically a 5-star book. Yeah, I love this book so much. I annotate so much when it comes to these books. Yeah, I want to actually read a quote. I'm gonna read this quote. It's not a spoiler. Oh my god. I'm just gonna read it. I highlighted it in blue, which means it's sad. So I put no. It says, "Little did I know that in a few short years, we'd be masters at hurting each other. That causing each other pain would be the linchpin of a relationship. The only thing more consistent than each other." These quotes get me every time. I literally annotate so much. Like every page is an annotation. Like look at this one. I just love this book. Oh my god. I just love this book so much, if you can't tell already. Next book I read was Meet Me at the Lake. This book I read in a video where I was reading summer books. Go watch that video if you haven't already. But this was the first one I read in that video. It's basically, I already forgot their names. It's about Fern and Will. This book is like past and present, but they meet one day in the past. He's like at this job place that she works at. They spend one full day together, and it's like an amazing day. And then they agree to meet a year later at the place where she's supposed to work at, but she doesn't want to work at, whatever. They agree to meet there 1 year later. A year later comes around, she's waiting for him, he doesn't show up. So she's like, what the heck? 9 more years pass, she's working at that place, and he shows up, and she's like, what are you doing here? 10 years late. The story just goes on from there. Then trying to catch up, she's kind of mad at him because he didn't show up, but she also doesn't know why he didn't show up, so she wants to know like why that happened. Yeah, it honestly sounds like an amazing, you know, plot story, and I was interested. The only thing I was interested in knowing is why he didn't show up, and that's the nicest way I could say it. That's what I cared about most in this book. Their romance, I just didn't see. I didn't see it because I just didn't get how they spent one day together. I could see how you spend a day together and find it so good, and then a year later you could build that back. But I didn't see that building. Like, I feel like we didn't get enough of that. Maybe I just couldn't connect to them. Yeah. And the setting, I also wanted it to be really summery because like this book is so cute. I loved her last book, Every Summer After. It was such like a cute like summer setting. The story was good too. So I was expecting a lot from this book and sadly didn't get it. At first I rated 3 stars, but then I bumped it down to 2.5 because usually I rate books 3 stars if I didn't like it, but I would recommend it to other people. But I wouldn't recommend reading this book. You can if you want to, but I just wouldn't recommend it if someone asked me. Yeah, moving on to the next book. Next book I read was Beach Read. This is actually a reread. I read this the beginning of last year in 2022 in January, and I gave it 4 stars. And I wanted to reread it obviously for this video, and everyone had been like rereading it. So I was like, I'm actually gonna reread it, see what all this hype is about that I missed the first time I read it. And let me tell you, I got the hype because I rated this book 5 stars. I loved this book so much the second time around. I don't know how I missed it the first time I read it. Basically, this book is about August and January. January is back to this like summer house that her dad owned, and she finds out that her neighbor is Gus, and they have like a kind of complicated past, and they remember each other from college, and they're like, I don't like you. And they have a rocky start too, so they don't really start on good terms until eventually they kind of ease up on each other, and they figure out that they both have a writer's block and they need a book like soon to send to their like publisher or whatever. They switch genres. January writes romance, so she's gonna start writing what Gus writes, which is like thrillers, I'm pretty sure, or mystery. Gus is gonna try to write what she writes, which is romance, and they take each other on like these little field trips so that they know what the other genre is about, so it's easier for them to write about. And obviously along these field trips they start noticing that they feel a little more for each other. And yeah, I just love this book so much. It's honestly, not only the romance is good, the plot is good too. It's not only about their romance. You see January go through a couple things too, and the setting is so summer. Like, this is literally the perfect book to read in the summer. I loved it so much. Gus, let me tell you, Gus, he is like the dream boyfriend. Everyone would want him as their boyfriend. He is perfect. Next book I read was The Summer of Broken Rules. This was also a reread. I read it again for the video because this is a 10 out of 10 summer read. I would recommend this book if anyone asks for a summer read. This is the book I'm recommending. I read it last summer, and if you don't know, I was obsessed with it. I gave it 5 stars, and I reread it this year. I gave it 5 stars the second time around. I'm literally obsessed with this book. This is like one of my favorite books ever. This is about Meredith, that her sister passed away about 8 months ago. She is having a hard time going through that, and she doesn't really like talk to her family a lot after that situation happened. And now she has to go back to this vineyard that she used to go to every summer that her sister loved for one of her cousin's weddings. So she goes back. She has to like make up with her family that she wasn't really in contact with because of her sister's passing. You see her grow into a happier mindset, and you see her also make up to her friends and family that she didn't talk to. You also see a romance, obviously, between her and Whit, which is not his actual name, but I feel like it is kind of a spoiler, so we're gonna call him Whit. He is one of the groomsmen in the wedding, and they play a game of assassin in this whole book, which is one of the best parts of the book. It's so much fun, and you literally want to be a part of it. But they start helping each other in that game, and it's very like secretive. Literally everything about this book is perfect. I want to be a part of the family. The game is so much fun too. The romance is amazing. I love him so much. He's one of my favorite book guys ever. Like him too, and then Whit, like they're amazing. Yeah, I would recommend this book to every single person alive, even if you don't read. I'll probably have to read this every summer, to be honest. I love this book. Then the last book I read this month was Daisy Hates. This is the 4th book in the Magnolia Park series, 2nd Daisy Hates book. I don't really have to say much. I gave this book 5 stars. Obviously. I love this series so much. I don't think you guys are ever gonna hear a bad thing from me about this book or the series. I'm literally obsessed with it. So basically this follows, again, Daisy, Christian, and Julian. You see Daisy and Christian trying to build their romance from the last book, ended off crazy. And then you get a lot more of Julian in this book because there's a lot more going on with him. Not only in like this gang that he has a lot more story to him in this book. I don't want to say much, so like there's no spoilers, but I love seeing more of him because I love him so much. I'm literally, if this isn't saying enough, then, you know, whatever. But I'm obsessed with Julian. He's literally like my baby. I love him so much. This book is amazing, and that's it. That's all I have to say. Again, I annotate so much in these books. So I'm gonna read the quote on the back because this quote, when I got to it in the book, I think I like sobbed. I really couldn't deal with it. It was my last straw. So I'm gonna read it. It says, "It's the great undoing of my heart as I know it." The book is called Daisy Hates the Great Undoing. "It's the great undoing of my heart as I know it. I love her more than I've ever loved anything, and thought I might have been able to angle it. Find a way for us to work." I'm gonna struggle reading this. "A life between where I can be who I am and love her how I do, and it not be the death of her. But it's not on the cards. I'd be the death of her, and I won't be." And that's it. That's all I have to say about this book. I love it. 5 stars, and that's it. So those are the books I read this month in June. Now I'm going to tell you guys the books that I want to read in July. Currently, I am reading Throttle by Lauren Asher. This is the Dirty Air series, I'm pretty sure. This is the first book. It's about Maya and Noah. Noah is like this Formula 1 racer. Maya's brother is a Formula 1 racer too, and her brother gets put on the same team as Noah, which they don't really like each other. And yeah, that's all I know for right now. I'm only like 30 pages in. We'll see how that goes. And I've only heard good things about this book, so hopefully I like this book so I can continue with the series. There's 4 books total, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, I'm excited to finish it and then see if I like it to continue. The book I want to read literally right after that is Flawless. I am dying to read this book. I'm pretty sure I put this in my last TBR, but I wasn't in the mood to read it. Like I wanted to, but I couldn't grab it. I don't know why. I also wanted to film that summer video, but then I had to read Daisy Hates, obviously. so I couldn't grab it, and I wanted to read this before this. It was just complicated, but I am for sure going to read it this month, and I'm so excited to read it because the 4th book just came out, and everyone has told me that it's a great book too. So I just want to get into the series because everyone else is obsessed with it. And yeah, next book I want to read is When in Rome. I actually got this book not too long ago, and if you haven't heard this book, you're kind of living under a rock. This book is so popular right now. Basically, it's about this like pop star that she wants to go to Rome, but like the closest Rome is in Kentucky. So she goes there, and then her car breaks down in the middle of this guy's like lawn, and I'm not gonna lie, that's all I really know, but I just know that it's really popular now and everyone's obsessed with it, saying it's like a cute read, and it's honestly pretty short too, so I'm excited to read this, get it out of the way, see what all the hype is about, and then maybe read the second book that everyone likes too, which is Practice Makes Perfect. This is definitely a book I'm looking at this month. Next book is Vacation Wars. This book is actually pretty thick now that I'm holding it. This book, I honestly got it because of the summer vibes. I didn't even really read the back when I got this. I just liked that it said vacation and it looked summery, so I got it. I'll read the back. It says, prepare for a good time. Tessa is thrilled to spend the weeks before her sister's wedding at their family's favorite vacation spot, Santorini. Sandy beaches, stone-washed houses, attractive men, it's heaven. So hopefully the summer setting is good in this book. It says, Tessa's idea of a girls trip comes to a screaming halt when her sister thinks it's high time Tessa finds some love herself. Unfortunately, Tessa forgot about the deal she made back in high school. She has to find her soulmate before her sister's wedding or else. As she dodges suitors and her sister's pranks, Tessa finds an ally in the also dreamy Miles, her childhood crush who just so happens to work at the resort. But Miles is dealing with some family conflict of his own. He's elated at being reunited with Tessa, but his father refuses to acknowledge his interest in the family business, and relegating him to only grunt word casts a dark cloud. As Tessa and Miles help navigate their way through their family's antics, they begin to realize that their past feelings may have a future, if only they can turn their island fantasies into something real. So it sounds pretty interesting. We'll see. It's a pretty thick book. I honestly didn't think it was this thick. The chapters better not be long. I'll be so annoyed if they are. Oh, that one was... Oh my god. This one's pretty long. I'm not gonna lie. How long was that? Oh, it was only 10 pages. Wait, no it wasn't. Oh, it was 20 pages. That's a bit long. But it's okay, because it's summer vibes. So I'm for sure gonna read it in the summer, but I'm reaching to read it this month in July. The last book I want to read, which I don't have the actual like physical copy of, is What Happens After Midnight. The author that wrote The Summer of Broken Rules wrote that book, and people are starting to read it already, and I feel left out obviously because The Summer of Broken Rules is one of my favorite books. Definitely my favorite summer book, but one of my favorite books, and I really want to read the new book, see what it's all about, see if it's giving summer vibes, maybe not, but I do want to read that book this month. So yeah, those are the books that I read this month and the books that I want to read in this new month in July. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this reading wrap up. Make sure to subscribe, turn on your post notifications. Wait, I never say it. Make sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on your post notifications. That's the order I say it in. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye guys.